With Launchpad McQuack.
That's not the actual title of this.
Alright guys, so we're starting the Scott Pilgrim Iceberg today, and the waves we're doing is about 1 to 2. Now before we start this video, or iceberg, you can see how this one's a little bit bigger than the Left 4 Dead one. Mostly because I guess Scott Pilgrim has a big fan base or whatever. Brian Lee O'Malley, creator of the series himself, comic, game, and movie. First came the comic, volumes 1 through 6, then came the movie in 2010, and then came the game that got delisted on Xbox 360 and PS3 in 2014 because of licensing reasons probably. But then in 2021 it was brought back, well technically 2020, but mainly 2021 it was brought back, remastered on Xbox One and PS4. The League of Evil Exes are, well, Ramona's exes, and that consists of Matthew Patel, Lucas Lee, Todd Ingram, Roxanne Richer, the Katanagi twins, and Gideon Graves himself. The Glow. Basically, somewhere in the end of Volume 1, when Scott starts saying Ramona, when Scott mentions Gideon, her head starts glowing for some reason. It doesn't really explain this through volumes 1 to 5. Eventually in 6, everybody's head glows, but the reason for this is because it shows that Ramona has strong feelings, or emotional strong feelings, of something that happened in the past. Now it's not really explained what happens to everybody in the end of volume 6, or no. Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's the creator of the Scott Pilgrim movie, and other movies like Shaun of the Dead. Black Sheep. Black Sheep is a song that plays in a Scott Pilgrim movie, but only for about 20 seconds probably. It doesn't play fully, but there is a YouTube song of it. But I can't play it because, copyright, because we just love copyright. The movie uses video game aesthetics. So basically, the movie and comic uses a lot of video game references. Since the comic was made before the movie, the comic referenced a bunch of, video game references. It's like Sonic and Knuckles, Zelda, Sonic himself, I guess. I couldn't really find any movie screenshots, so I just showed the comic compared to a game. The X-Men jacket reference in the comic. On Scott's jacket, it references the X-Men symbol. He claims he got an honors or something. The 10th anniversary screenings. There is 10th anniversary screenings in the movie. The anime. Earlier this year, a Scott Pilgrim anime was announced and apparently is still being worked on, but it might be cancelled, so we're not really sure. Seconds and Lost at Sea. These were 2 more books made by Brian Lee O'Malley, with Seconds even having a reference, or at least 2 of them, to Scott Pilgrim. Evil X hardcovers. So you ever want an evil version of a Scott Pilgrim book? Then here you go. There's Evil X covers, or hardcovers, of the Evil X's. Okay, since this iceberg is a little long, just speed this up a little. Lisa Miller, Mr. Chow, and Plumtree. Lisa Miller is Scott's old friend from high school, and basically in volume 2 or 3, he sees her again. and apparently she actually liked Scott, but Scott didn't have feelings for her at the time, and still doesn't. Mr. Chow is Knives Chow's father. I think that's pretty obvious. Plumtree is a band, and basically Scott Pilgrim's name was actually inspired by one of the song names that was, well, Scott Pilgrim. Snot Girl and an anime possibly being cancelled. Now I talked about the anime earlier, about, almost being cancelled, but we're not really sure if it's cancelled or still being worked on. Snot Girl is another Brian Lee O'Malley series, so it's probably, the 4th or even 5th series we've named on this Iceberg so far, and we're only in the first layer. Cheat codes, and I'll explain this shortly. There's cheat codes in the game, and I'll explain at least 2 of them because I'm pretty sure there's only 2 of them. So first there's the blood mod, and then there's the power of love sword. The Smeef book dubs. Smeef is a small YouTube channel, and he creates various content from like anime, cartoons, games, and yeah. Now recently, in 2021 and 2022, he uploaded the Scott Pilgrim comic dubs. I remember I actually watched, volume 1, but then I stopped suddenly for some reason. Not really sure why. But recently, he uploaded, probably mostly a week or 2 ago, the volume 6 ones that are actually animated, which is pretty cool. Brain damage meme. This is Scott Pilgrim brain damage meme, which you can see right now. Vinyl Records. There's various vinyl records. That's really all. Stephen Stills is gay. So basically, in volume 4, 5, and 6, it's actually explained that Stephen Stills is gay, but it's not really explained until volume 6, but you can kind of see it in 4 and 5. In the Scott Pilgrim movie, he was gay already, but he just wasn't, ready to come out yet. So that was the first layer of the Scott Pilgrim iceberg, and now we move on to the second one, which is still the same size as the first one, surprisingly. Audience reactions changed with Scott Pilgrim the movie ending. So basically, while the audience was watching, the ending actually got changed. Basically, the original one, Scott got with knives, but then we got the one where Scott ends up with Ramona, like in the comic. There is at least 2 videos on YouTube that actually show alternate ending that you could check. Michael Cera and Kieran, or not really sure how you say his name, sorry, and Colton's relationship. So basically, Michael Cera plays Scott in the Scott Pilgrim movie, and Kieran, or Colton, he played Wallace. And basically, after the movie, they were, friends, played Mario Kart together. The free comic. So basically, there was a free comic book for Scott Pilgrim, and well, yeah, that's basically it. If you have volume 6 of the book, the free comic's actually already in there, just way in the back when the story ends. Multiple superheroes appeared in the movie. So I couldn't really find multiple superheroes, but there was only one. So basically, Lucas Lee, played by Chris Evans, he actually played Captain America a few times. Seconds, cameos. So I took a picture of the Seconds book, or at least I saw one page, and you can see that Scott and Ramona are sitting at the Seconds restaurant, or at least the weird looking version of the Seconds restaurant. Evil X number references. So basically, Matthew Patel, he points to number 1 at Scott, and he has like $1. Lucas Lee points at Scott with, 2 fingers. Todd Ingram, he has a number 3 on his shirt. I mean, just look at him. And there's 3 people in his band, consisting of him, Andy Adams, and the drummer, which I still don't know her name for some reason. Roxanne Richer is the 4th X, and basically, technically, this doesn't really count, but at the same time it does count. In the movie posters, it shows her name spelled Roxy, and I guess it's spelled like that to show that she's like, the fourth X, and that's her, reference to her number. The Katinagi twins, Cal and Ken, they don't really show any signs of them being like the sixth one, or at least not anything that I could find. Then the psychotic Gayen Graves, he shows a few signs, like, you make me swallow my gum, now I'm gonna be digesting it for 7 years. He's 7 years older than Scott and Knives, and the final one I'll tell is that there's 7 letters in his name. There's basically a bunch more, but there is YouTube videos you can see that actually show these. Knives / Kim's relationship. So, in volume 4 of the Scott Pilgrim books, it shows when they're drunk, Knives and Kim actually start dating. And in the game, if you play as Kim and you call Knives as a striker, basically they'll both kiss each other, which gives Kim health. And this, I'm not really sure if this really counts, but this does technically count, I guess, as an infinite health cheat, technically. Because if you're at, 0 health, well not 0 health, but at least like 15 health, you can still call Knives down and still get health. I mean, it'll be half or at least a quarter of the health now. Scott Pilgrim versus the animation. So on YouTube, 12 years ago, there's a Scott Pilgrim animation released, and that's really all. You can watch it, it is pretty cool. This animation does go over Scott's flashback to, his high school. Characters respawn when killed. Brian Lee O'Malley actually proved this, but basically when the characters are killed, they, respawn right back at their house. So just like a game, or like the Scott Pilgrim game, I guess. Mini statues. Basically, I couldn't really pronounce the word, but there's, Scott Pilgrim mini statues, to characters. The Funko line. So basically, like most movies or shows, Scott Pilgrim actually has, Funko Pops. The deleted scenes in the movie. So like any movie, Scott Pilgrim has some deleted scenes, and there's basically a 25-minute video showing them. The Scott Pilgrim card game. Basically, there's a card game of, Scott Pilgrim. That's really it. The Wonderful World of Kim Pine. There's basically a short story, and it's basically just, The Wonderful World of Kim Pine, which will just go through it. I'll scroll through it for you. The movie flopped. Basically, when the movie was first released, it actually flopped. It didn't really do so well. Ramona display figures. There's basically different display figures for, Ramona. Evil X editions. Now, I explained this earlier. There's Evil X covers of the books, so I don't really understand what this is really here. Negascott is unlockable in the game. So basically, if you ever played Scott Pilgrim, you might know that there's, Negascott, and you have to fight him. And to unlock them, you have to, beat the game 4 times, and not with the same character, but with, Scott, Kim, Stills, or Stephen Stills, and Ramona. And then once you do all that, you unlock Negascott. Then I guess you could beat the game with Negascott, then, yeah. So those were 1 and 2 of the Scott Pilgrim Iceberg, and now we'll move on to 3 and 4, in the next video.